welcome back. We're back with another episode of Mind Like Me's Egg Timer Hour. Egg Timer Hour, episode number 6. Say hello, Sugar Dave.
Hello.
My cohort, Sugar Dave and Gary Sandman.
How's it going, everybody? We
are joined today. I'm going to go ahead and start the clock with our most excellent guest of the Let's Play All YouTube channel, Matt Webster. A YouTube channel with like 105,000 subscribers. You kind of specialize in gear demos, guitar things, lessons. Most, well, not all, but kind of in the alt grunge music genre, among other things. And we are so glad to have you here. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I should also mention you had a lot to do with the funny little boxes, the development, the making of. Would you care to talk about that a little bit? Because I've done a lot of videos about the pedal. I didn't expect to, but I was like, holy shit, these guys made a pedal that sound like 10.
Yeah. So Funny Little Boxes is the company name. So this is Andy's brand that he used to have. You know this from speaking to Andy anyway, but right. He used to sell online pedals. And then I actually bought one off him. It was a fuzz pedal. It's a Tate FX Raise the Dead fuzz pedal. It's a really cool pedal. It's got great graphics on it. And his thing was he doesn't sell anything above £99, or 99 right. quid, as we'd say. So I thought, that's great. That's a really cool little, business model. And I noticed that he was based in Norfolk, which is where I'm based. We just moved here, not long before that. And so I messaged him and said, I'm interested in that. And you're only down the road. And he was like, really? Whereabouts are you? And turns out that he used to work near here. So he said, I'll drop it round. So I was like, amazing. Okay, great. So he turned up on my doorstep with this pedal. And we just got sort of chatting. And then we just became friends from that interaction, basically, like carried on chatting. And at the time I was playing in a Pearl Jam tribute band, and I still had the YouTube stuff. That was a few years ago, though. That was probably about 4 years ago now. And so I was really keen on getting the Pearl Jam sound. I was really obsessive about that. And yeah, long story short, I was chatting to Andy about it because he knew lots of people in the DIY sort of enthusiast / not quite pro builders, but very technical people who are very well respected by other brands, right? And so I thought he'll know loads of people. So I was like, do you know what? As a sort of little personal project, I just want to have one, right? And can you help me put this thing together, right? Through your contacts or whatever. And here's what I want it to be like, blah, blah, blah. And we started chatting away. And then he started to say, well, you know what? I've been thinking about doing some pedals, like creating my own pedals. And so we talked on that. So long and the short of it is, I said, fair enough then. Let's do if you can do me like a 91, not a 91, it's called the 1991.
Right.
If you can do me a Pearl Jam in a box pedal that meets this criteria, so here's how I get it. I want it to sound like this. Then that would be cool. That would be fun. And so that's where it went from. I'll show you actually. I've got my, we recently did a reunion gig, right? And this is the pedal board that I used. So I've actually got 2 of the suckers on there now. So I used one for like light gain and one for like main gain. And we did them in a couple of colorways. So yeah, it just went crazy, to be honest. We've, the response was in madness, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it went from him going, do you reckon we could sell like 10? I was like, yeah, that'd be great, right? 10, the album 10, let's just do a release of 10. And then I've got like a Patreon community. I think they all got like friends and those people just gobbled them all up. So we were like, oh, maybe we could do more than that. So Andy went off and, started to, it created a small business from it, really, a one-man band business where he was just snowed, right. Just trying to keep up with demand. It was crazy. People were like selling them online for like 350 quid.
Well,
and
yeah,
stuff
when they
and trying to
first
strip
came
them
out,
and-
supply and demand. Right there you go. I snatched up a few of them, hoping that
Yeah, exactly. Retirement plan.
Well, but I mean,
Don't
like
blame me.
specifically choosing 10 or not 10 Club, 10 Pearl Jam 10, the album 10, those tones. That's just something I've always been after forever. I mean, there's probably a couple other ones that I'd like to try and emulate, but to go after that and then you nail it. Like, were you really like, holy crap, this really does sound like it? Because that's kind of my reaction when I got it. I was like, I don't know how. And then the more I messed with it, I'm like, well, this pedal's a bit more of an overdrive pedal. It's not really a distortion pedal. And to be honest, I run the thing with both the gains almost all the way down, and it's on all the time.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I had 2 on my board, right? Because I've got the gain set on the first one quite low, which is a lovely bit of breakup, and the other one is not full. It's kind of both gains on, I don't know, about 3 o'clock, something like that. But yeah, we go through like iterations. So he comes over with this crazy looking breadboard. Don't know if you're familiar with how like pedals get made. And that for me was fascinating because I just had no idea how like a pedal comes to life, right? You know, how it starts from someone saying some words to someone else, and then it becomes this schematic, and then it becomes this thing with diodes and I don't know, whatever else, transistors and all sorts of weird stuff. And so, yeah, we'd go through a few little tweaks like, no, that's not right. No, treble's wrong there or whatever. So that whole process has been, you know, just brilliant fun for me. And I absolutely love the pedal. You know, I mean, I've got 2 of them on a live pedal board, you know, we played a show a few weeks ago. I think it was probably about 600 capacity venue, but I think we sold about 500 tickets, 500 something tickets. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great to be able to use those pedals because when I was playing in the band before, I didn't have those pedals to use. So it was lovely. Using them in a live situation is cool too because it's a very mids forward pedal. So, and funnily enough, the guy who plays Mike's parts, because I play Stone's parts, and that is really Stone's tone on the 10 album, really. But Mike's isn't far off. They were both kind of using tube screamers into sort of crank Marshalls, right? So their bass tone's kind of similar. But yeah, my friend Tim, who plays Mike's parts, he also had a 91 on his board as well. And I was like, wicked. You know what I mean? So it was really cool to see them in a live situation like that from, I mean, yeah, just some random scribblings, you know, that we had in a notebook, you know, sort of 3-4 years ago. It's great.
Yeah. So you're basically just kind of like a sounding board, just kind of throw it like, here's what we want. And then he's like, okay. And then you come in and sit down and just play and like, no, it's all, or I'm exaggerating, but it's essentially.
Yeah. I mean, it's really collaborative actually. And that's the lovely part of it. So we've got several ideas for pedal. I mean, I sent him so many ideas for pedals. So we've got a backlog of stuff. And he's also then got his ideas as well. And he's got some other happy accidents that he'll be noodling around with and just go, actually, you know, what about this one? So like the second pedal was supposed to be the Dirt because I was like, right, the second one should be an Alice in Chains pedal. And Andy was like, I love Alice in Chains. In fact, I love that more than Pearl Jam, right? So I was like, perfect. We'll call it Dirt and it'll be after the Dirt album. A Dirt distortion pedal. Do you know what I mean? It's just, even if you just think of like the SEO on that, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's a Dirt pedal, you know what I mean? So it's just like just a lovely, so we love all that stuff. We think about all that stuff. I mean, like the hue of the original 91 pedal is like as close as we could get it to the 1991 color. Do you know what I mean? We think about like lots of that stuff through it, which is great. So it should have been this one. This one should have been the second pedal. Hence why it's got a very similar sort of style graphic as well, right? Because the idea was that they would be like a sort of pair, and then we're starting to think about, you know, a range, you know what I mean, like sort of grown-ups. But Andy was mucking about, and he was like, and the 91, the Dirt actually took a lot of effort. Andy had some health issues in between, and you know, it's very difficult, right? You've just had a really like tremendously successful first pedal, and then the second one is proving really difficult, really complex, because we were trying to sort of emulate what essentially is Dave Jordan's, mixing
Blending
desk,
3
right?
amps.
Exactly, and so, Andy was thinking about going, maybe we could do this blending thing, and he was chatting to, a few of his other colleagues about it as well, and they were like, yeah, we got this great idea. And then so that kind of got torn up a little bit and put to one side. And then Andy, while he was recuperating, he came up with some cool stuff that eventually became the skeleton key, right? So he basically just was mucking about on a breadboard. And I think the beauty of both of our approach to it really is that, Andy hasn't been building effects pedals for 10 years, right? He doesn't, he hasn't got that sort of background. He comes into it, and he says this himself as an enthusiastic, amateur, to these things. So so when people are always asking us, oh, what amp have you based that on? What topology is it based on? We're like, it isn't based on one. Do you know what I mean? It's like we just keep going after it until we go, no, that's not right. That's not right. That is. So it isn't based on anything.
Andy talked about his methodology of kind of getting schooled on that, and he said his tuition, he went and hooked up with somebody that knew the electronics level of it, and they set
Mark
out
from
as a
Sound
prototype,
Liverpool,
like a really complex first pedal, so he would get more of a broadband education on how to do it. Is that how you understood it too? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's Mark from Sound Liverpool. So I do demos for Mark as well. We chat a lot about stuff, so it's cool here. He's a proper boffin. He works in. I don't know if I can say where he works, but he's very very scientific in what he does, and he's got a lot of knowledge.
Do the protos always
of this stuff
start with on a breadboard and then go to the PCB? I mean, is that
always? Yeah,
just because of ergonomics and being a proto. Okay.
Yeah, because it's expensive to create the once you get the boards, they are expensive, especially if you only order we want 4 or 5 of them. They can be 10, 15 quid each or something. So that gets expensive. If you go, nope, that's wrong, we have to buy 5 of them, it just starts to get quite pricey, rather than get it right on a
because you have to hard solder onto a PCB, right, versus a breadboard. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the components generally are, I don't know what the terminology is, but they're I forget what they're called. So you have through hole, which is people soldering, or SMD, is it, or something like that? SM something.
That's your territory, Sandman.
I know, right?
So they're all basically it's all printed on at the factory. Very little sort of to do in terms of putting them together. But you've got to then solder together the foot switch and a few other bits and pieces. So the idea is always to never use unicorn parts. Make sure that it's always stuff that's readily available. All that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's a lovely process to just go through that. And as I say, this one that came out of nowhere. That just came out of Andy's mucking about, right? And he's like, I think I've got something here that reminds me of the Queens of the Stone Age stuff, this one particular album, and it developed into, why don't we make it like their sort of core tone-ish without going after anything in particular. And that was really good fun. But that was, Andy brought me a breadboard with a bunch of wires everywhere, loads of knobs on it. And so that was cool, because there were certain values that you have to sort of figure out, and then it's just my ears going, that's about right, all of these values here, and then Andy converts those values into fixed components sometimes, or you might find we'll put in something else, right, this needs to be, there's too much gain, which it always had too much gain. Ironically, when it came out, I think a lot of people were like, I would have thought it'd have had more gain in it, but it's their tone doesn't really have loads of gain. And if you put it into a ultra clean amp, then it probably needs a bit of grunt. But into a tube amp, for me, I was just like, that's just it. That's their tone.
Reminds me a lot of the live concert, the over the years and through the woods. Like, especially because to me, I was like, I could never kind of pinpoint what that tone was, but to my ears, like a lot of it was like a really distorted guitar with the volume kind of rolled off, and
Yeah,
it's like it's not quiet, it's not like I was like, these guys aren't just like screeching with gain. It's like that's not where their tone comes from. Their sound, it's the sound on the album sounds huge because they're probably just layering upon layers and layers and layers. But yeah, I was kind of like that too when I first got it. I was like, they could have more gain, but the more you kind of mess with it, it's like, but that's not. You can massage it with some other things to get more towards the gainier stuff that they do, which they don't have one pedal anyway. That's their core sound, and
yeah, no,
it's
totally.
it's a really cool pedal, man. There's nothing else that sounds like it. Like it just has just that kind of nasally. I don't know. It's just really cool. Let me ask you
It
about.
kind of does a vintage thing nicely as well.
Uh-huh.
I use it for a lot of stuff, like Jack White stuff. You know, things that you'd expect to be like a cranked small watt amp.
Mm-hmm.
You know, things like that. It covers quite a bit of ground in that. But yeah, it's great fun. And then we had the artwork tie in with Boneface and all that sort of stuff. So
How did that come about? How did
So I
you know a
suggested
guy who
that to
knows a
Andy.
guy?
No, I said, why don't we just reach out to Boneface? Like I mean, and he can only say no, right? Let's just see if
Right.
he's interested in doing a graphic for a pedal. And he was like, sounds like a cool idea. And it turned out he's based in the UK, right? We thought he was American,
Right. Oh, really?
but he's not. Yeah, he's based in the UK. So that was cool. And he sent us a couple of ideas, and they were all just really rough sketches, and they were just all amazing. But this one in particular is, I think it's on the CD. There's a CD of like some his character being impaled like and putting the skeleton key in it, which skeleton key unlocks the tone. You know what I mean? So we had
Right.
we thought that would just be like quite a cool name.
Did you tell him the title first, what the pedal was going to be called, or did the art
Yeah.
inspire the title?
Yeah,
Okay.
we had that, and we gave him a rough brief, pretty rough brief. But when it came back, we were just like, oh my god, this looks incredible, and it's yeah. I mean, we were so pleased that he agreed to do it. Actually, it was amazing. And the knob labels, I don't know if you can see them. They're basically. It's just focusing on my face, isn't it? Yeah. So the knob labels are actually just his handwriting, but he uses that font. It's not font, right? It's his own handwriting.
Right.
For the liner notes and the lyrics. So if you get some of the Queens of the Stone Age stuff, the gatefold stuff, where he does all the lyrics and that, it's the same font because it's his handwriting, right? So those are the knob labels. So it just all really came together really, really nicely. So yeah, we were just chuffed with it. And then when we release it, we're like, if it doesn't sell any, then we'd love it. So it doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's
got
popular.
Boneface to do some artwork. So yeah, of course.
Yes, I mean it's like having, I don't know, the guy who did like Eddie, what I mean, for Iron Maiden. It's like having an Iron Maiden pedal with Eddie on it, right?
Yeah.
By the guy who designed Eddie. It's so we were super chuffed with that. And Troy, like we handed one over to a couple of guitar mags, and Music Radar. I got a good relationship with them. I've done some writing for them, and they happen to have the pedal for review while Queens of the Stone Age were touring in the UK. So they did a couple of chats, I think, with Troy, and because they had the pedal there, I think they were just like, "Oh, by the way, Troy, did you know about this pedal that's come out?" And he was like, "Yeah, I have heard of it actually." So we were just like, "What?
Yeah.
Like, how has he heard of that?" So that just blew us away. And he said, "Yeah, I'd like to try one." So we did send him a couple. I don't know if they got to him. And I think we sent one to Echo Park Guitars as well.
So
and
were you doing this in the background when that conversation happened?
It's crazy, isn't it? Right, and that is, that's like the payoff, really. You know what I mean? As if. You create a pedal and you think, imagine, right, if one of them heard of it, right? I mean, how could you get, we don't know anyone really like that. So how would we get them the pedal? And we couldn't really ask, Boneface, because, he's the artist. We're not going to go, by the way, send them a pedal. So to have them independently So yeah, I have heard of it, and it sounds cool. He was a bit. He was jokingly like saying cute as one pedal. It's going to encompass all that we are totally, and that's not what we're about, right? But just the fact that he'd heard of it in the first place was wild. And I think we don't know, but we think that he's actually plugged in.
Just remember that when someone comes up to you and says, "I have Matt Webster in a box."
It sounds
I remember
awful.
Andy saying that somebody had saw that in their tech loadout with them on he part
said,
of their setup, but somebody was traveling that box.
You talking about Eddie when Eddie Vedder? It was on.
Maybe I'm probably running.
I think he had said that he knew that Eddie Vedder had known about it, and that it was on a stage, maybe at a solo show or something. Andy was talking about that, or I think that's what it was.
Yeah, I think you are correct on that.
Oh, I don't know.
Wow. Yeah. So he was saying that he knows that at least Eddie is aware of it. So I was like, well, that's cool. But do Mike or Stone?
Yeah. So cool. So yeah, they're all our idols, and it's all a bit of a love letter to their tones. I spend far too much of my life trying to work out various tones for the lessons, for like gear demos. That's what I'm about, really. I know it's a bit of a weird thing to say, really, as a guitarist, because the popular thing to say is, sound like yourself, or why are you using all this stuff? You want to have your own voice on the instrument and stuff. I'm personally not that interested in that at all. I love sounding like everyone else. So I'm not too fussed about sounding like me.
Yeah.
It's also, no matter how hard you try, you're not going to sound like that. It's like you're going to get close, but you're not going to sound just, you know what I mean? So it's like, let's talk about your YouTube channel, since you're talking about gear and lessons and stuff like that. You've got 105,000 subscribers. That's pretty impressive. I believe you started the channel in 2017. Is that correct?
Yeah, about 7 years. Yeah.
So
wow,
amazing.
It's crazy. It's all my mum. I think it's my mum. And she's got about 999,000 fake accounts that she uses.
So what were you doing at the time? Like, kind of like, what did you have a day job and say, hey, I'm going to start a YouTube channel? And
I still have a day job. Yeah, this is all in my spare time.
This stuff. How?
All this stuff, all the videos, all the lessons and stuff. It's all.
So can you tell us what your day job is? I understand if you don't want to.
Yeah, I work in IT. That's about
so you're Nick
That's
Burns.
much like go into it, or you'll be very bored. But I do enjoy it. It's problem solving and techie stuff, which is cool.
I've got to ask. When do you sleep? You've mentioned that you write, you help Andy. You and Andy develop these awesome pedals together. You're in bands. You make these videos.
I don't do a lot in bands now. I've had to sort of give that up. But yeah, got a young family, got a day job, and all my spare time is spent doing the YouTube stuff. So that's like learning stuff, working things out. I get Patreon requests, so those need to be kept on top of. Wow. So it's a lot. But you just find stuff that you just think I just won't do that anymore. Then, like football, I used to watch lots of football. And I just in lockdown, I just stopped watching football because that was like hours a week spent, and my kids aren't really into football either, right? So it wasn't something we did together. So, you just find it, and then you start to find like ways to streamline it, and, a way to make sure that your time's just always like doing something useful. So I never have like much downtime. I never have stuff where I'm not doing anything, and when I do, I get kind of a bit itchy fingered and a bit like I should be doing some other stuff, so it sort of keeps you keeps you busy. But at the time, so going back to then, when when I first started the channel, I was just doing I just got back into guitar. I'd had years not playing, like 10 years or whatever, not playing, and wasn't interested. And then I thought, I'll try and get into a Pearl Jam tribute band. And funnily enough, there was one kicking off, so I auditioned, and then that went on, and we started doing shows, and we did probably something like 20, 25 shows a year, which is great. So we're traveling all over the UK, which isn't huge by your standards in the US, right? But, it's 5-6 hours in a car, two 2 dates, you know, and then you're back home on the Sunday sort of thing, you know. But because it was, I was so obsessively like wanted to get Stone's tones right and all of the like nuances of his playing and all that sort of stuff. I thought, well, maybe I'll just focus on just teaching Pearl Jam. So I'll just do that. That's it. So that was the initial, and that's why it's called Let's Play All, because at the time they had a video out called Let's Play 2, right? So it's a play on that, which is, well, Let's Play 2, Let's Play all of the songs. And the idea was we're going to do every single Pearl Jam tune, live versions, any weird B-sides, any of that sort of stuff, right? And just dedicate the channel to that. And then as it grew, and it grew quite quickly, because like I did an even flow cover, and that really took off. So it got monetized quite quickly within like a few sort of months of the first few videos, which was great. So I then thought, I'm going to run out of Pearl Jam. You know what I mean? I'm going to run out of road here, because, you know, I can't just only do Pearl Jam. So then I started to branch out into other grunge bands and other 90s alt rock stuff, and, you know, eventually start to slip in Slipknot and Metallica and old thrash bands I used to like as well. And then, yeah, so it's just gone from there, really. And then the tribute band sort of went away, and I just didn't have the time. We moved. I didn't have time to sort of rehearse or commit to like driving away all weekend. And I really loved the YouTube stuff. I just thought it was just really a really cool way of you know, creating this little online community. And through that, then just some amazing things just happened, you know, just by virtue of having the channel, right? Like Dave Navarro is the classic example, because he when he was playing in NHC, God, I forgot the name, NHC, right, with you know,
Chad Smith and
Taylor Hawkins and and Chris Chaney, right, on bass. And I loved that stuff. I thought it was amazing. And so I did like a lesson for one of their tunes, and I got you know, when you tag people on Instagram, like if they can read it if they want, right? You know what I mean? If they can actually go, oh yeah, they've tagged us in a video. And I think someone like put a heart on it and just went, oh, not awesome, you know, nice one. And it was from like the NHC account. I was like, that's awesome. How cool is that? Yeah. You know, whatever, like 20-year-old is running their, you know, in their social account or whatever. But I was like, oh, cool. And so they were like, I'm going to show you something like soon, something really cool, right? And I was like, okay, sweet. And I was chatting, you know what I mean? It was just a normal chat, and didn't know I was talking to at all. And then I get a video on that account from Dave Navarro. It's him playing guitar going, dude, there's like one bit that you didn't get quite right, and you probably can't quite hear it, but it's kind of buried in the mix a bit. So here, it's this, right? And anyway, you know, great job, awesome, you know. And I was just like, what the what's like that's that's actually from Dave Navarro. And then I realized it's him running the account. He's doing the account, right? So he shared then a playthrough that I tried to do of his solo, right? It was, you know, he was generous about it, but it was, you know, pretty fluffed. But he put it on the NHC channel, and then that got liked by a bunch of people. Like Matt Cameron liked it, because they're all obviously mates. You know what I mean? So I was just like, this is amazing. So those sorts of things, I know it takes a lot of time, and you earn money from it, right? But you know, you'd be better off doing guitar lessons for like 30 quid an hour for the amount of time that you put into it, right? You'd be way better off, you know, but you would never get any of this sort of cool stuff happening where you're like, Idol reaches out to you and like, you know, and then he sent me another video saying, by the way, I looked at your Bing Caught Stealing video, and Bing Caught Stealing is one of my ultimate favorite songs. It's probably my top 3 solos ever, right? Saying, great job, by the way, the main riff, I'm actually doing this, not that. He sent me another like little,
oh my gosh,
the best constructive criticism you've ever received.
Nice.
So it's so cool of him, right? Because you know, like he needs to do that. And so we built up a little sort of, you know, little friendship, you know, from that. And we, you know, we don't talk loads, but every now and again we do. And he sent me some vids, and he was quite ill at the time, I think, with COVID. He didn't really know, but he was he still, made time
Right.
because I said I'm going to do like a Dave Navarro month. So I'm going to do like, 4 like lessons of your stuff. And, I tagged him and he messaged back saying, yeah, man, this sounds cool. I'll give you a hand with those, maybe we could do a call or something. But then he sent me 4 videos of him, like as he's sort of like, stream of consciousness, he's playing him. He's like, oh, what was I doing there? Oh yeah, it's this bit actually. So I got these like little private videos that he sent me of how you play these, breakdowns by like, one of your idols. I mean, I had a magazine on my desk that had him in. It was
where you're like, dude, I got the Guitar
wild.
World here. That's not what you did. It's right here on Guitar World.
Yeah, right. You missed a bit. Yeah, you missed a bit there. So just what a legend. You know what I mean? Just so generous with his time. He sent me a bunch of pics and all sorts of stuff. It's great.
That is amazing. So your next pedal is a Dave Navarro pedal, then, huh? No.
Yeah. Has to be done. I'm friends with his guitar tech. Actually, I meet his guitar tech. I've been seeing him at a couple of gigs actually, which is
Danny
really nice.
Danny Clear is that his name?
Dan Cleary.
Dan Cleary, yeah.
I
follow him on Instagram as well.
He's a great guy.
You were talking about Stone's tone. Anything you could do to get Stone's tone? Did an not an SD1? I'm sorry, an SD9, an Ibanez SD9 ever make its way onto your pedal board?
I have never played one, so I couldn't tell you. I know that he's supposed to have used one at some point, but yeah, I couldn't tell you what they sound like.
I picked one up way back when, like, I think I probably read it in the year 2000. That he had used one. So this was when eBay was first taking off. So I went on eBay and I think I picked one up for $100. And to me, that sound is very much like kind of like what you hear him playing on SNL, like when they're playing Daughter or something, like at the end. I don't know. There's just something about that. But it's kind of.
Have you still got it?
Yes, I still have it. I have it right.
Oh, wow.
Go grab it. Hang on.
What do you say?
Nice. It's an SD9, isn't it?
Oh.
It's an Ibanez pedal.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, isn't it pink or something?
Look green.
Did somebody sing a song while I was gone or something? It's green.
Oh, it's green, is it? Oh,
yeah, it looks just like a tube screamer, but it's just a few shades lighter.
So is it based on a tube screamer?
No, not at all.
It's not the same.
I would say it's more like a DS1, honestly. It's more of a distortion than an overdrive.
Interesting.
But yeah, they don't have like if you crank the volume, maybe it's just this model or the one I have, but I'll turn the volume all the way up on it and it's still a little lacking. But when I first got it, I loved it. I was missing the back from the day I got it.
Very cool.
Yeah. That was the first one I got where I was like, I got Stone's tone now.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. And if you listen to a lot of the 10 tone is almost the easiest one to go after, really. But
and it changes so much, too, especially around the year 2000 when they're doing the live stuff. It's just they both got that tube screamer sound. I wasn't a real big fan of it at first, but it grew on me, and then seems like around 2005 2006 they picked up with more of kind of like a heavy distorted tone, as opposed to just everything being almost like an overdriven sound.
They've used some pretty nasty sounding stuff on a lot of their albums, actually. I mean, they've obviously, as the years have gone on, they've gone through multiple different types of amps, different types of guitars, different effects, so they're always switching up. I mean, Stone had he had a gold clom on his board for years. I think I don't know if he still does that.
I honestly can't keep up with it. For a time I was like, okay, whatever they get, I'm gonna get, and then it just get to a point where it's like I can't even be in the know with what they have. It's just
and then you got to go, well, it's always like 1 amp for my clean tone and 1 amp for my distorted tone, and then the pedals are kind of boosting or adding character, or but I've always been a big fan of getting tone out of pedals, just having a fairly sort of pedal friendly pedal platform amp, for want of a better word, so the amp itself doesn't have like tons of character necessarily, but then you just got your palette of whatever, like a Rat, or your Pearl Jam stuff, or something heavier than that for like Alice in Chains or whatever. And I've always just much preferred that. And also, it's expensive, right? Who's got money to buy a load of amps when most pedals are 100 to 200 quid, and you can encapsulate it all in that, right? So yeah, that's always been my go-to.
So I'm assuming you're a tube amp guy and not a digital platformer kind of player.
I like. I've got a Boss Katana, which is awesome. I mean, I just can't believe just how good the sounds in these things are. I've got a bunch of stuff from like Sonic Cake, these sorts of brands, and yeah, digital stuff is amazing. I find. I mean, I've got the Katana headphones as well, which are just amazing. Like so, and some of that is really good for 80s things. The really saturated reverbs and stuff, and they're such fun to play. But day to day, and for all my videos, I've got a Morgan MVP 66 amp, which is awesome. It's like a proper grown-up amp. I mean, I had a Victory V40 before that, and I still have that. I used that live recently because it's a lunchbox head 1x12, cab. It's just really easy, really, really portable. But yeah, the Morgan MVP 66 is my go-to, and that Joe Morgan reached out to me actually and said, I've learned loads of Pearl Jam stuff off your channel. Like, you're interested in an amp. So I was just like, yes. So we worked that out. So I was blown away. So that's great. So because I chat to Joe a fair bit as well now. So when the new album comes out, when are you going to see him? You're going to see him this year. He comes to the UK. So yeah, that's awesome. So I'd thoroughly recommend them. It's I always found with the Love Victory, they're a UK brand, and I've used them for a while, but the amp always needed something. It always needed like a little bit of a boost or something just to sort of get it into the broken up territory that I like it as my sort of clean tone, if you like.
Right.
Whereas the Morgan doesn't need that. That is just, like I say, it just feels like a sort of grown up amp, really. But yes, excellent.
Is that one 212 or?
So it's a head. I actually
Just
don't have. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it. It's back there somewhere. Where is
Sorry,
it?
Where's
my finger?
right now with this?
It's there. There's my finger. There's my finger. So it's that one there. It's back there.
What was the name of it again? I'm sorry.
It's a Morgan MVP 66. Yeah, I got my. That's in the way. So it's that sucker. So it's got like I don't know if you can see it back there.
Okay, I recognize it in the videos now. Yeah.
It's got like a grey sort of flecked look, which I've always thought just looks just incredible. They're just the best looking heads.
I've seen this.
They're amazing. Yeah, it's actually based on like a. It's got KT66 tubes in, which I've never heard of, and it's based on a JTM 50, I think, something like that.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's great for that sort of stuff.
I've only recently become of the I've started playing a band where the other guitarist uses like a lot of he has a Kemper and he works at a studio, so he's also got access to like Fender Tone Master, is that what it's called? Just all these new compact, great sounding things, expensive, and it's just like
is that Tone Master the digital one?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. It's the big like pedal board, foot pedal thing, and comes with the expression pedal and a cabinet. But it sounds great. But I haven't spent much time with it. But listening to him play it sounds great. But I'm 44 years old. I'm tired of lugging around a 212 combo amp that's 70, 80 pounds. But I'm trying stuff, and it's just not like I got a Fender Blues Junior trying that with my pedals and other things, and it's just like. Nothing compares. Like not in at least the digital stuff I'm using.
Yeah,
it's just.
Yeah, I do like. It's a setup whatever you're familiar with, really. I think, and for me, I just love that the way that they react. And if you don't really play like a lot of tube amps, which I didn't really until quite recently. I mean, I'd only had like one guitar that I used for like 20 years. And every time I tried to play other people's guitars, I was like, don't like these. Because I was just so used to, the feel of this guitar. And I had no idea why. I just, liked that one thing. And you don't really, and I remember taking a pedal. I had this pedal, it was a Hampstead Soundworks or something. It was a really cool boost pedal. And I took it around to a mate's house, and he had a ultra clean like Fender amp, and it just didn't do the thing in his amp. And I was like, why doesn't it sound like my amp? And I just couldn't, I didn't understand anything. But I think with that pedal show, their YouTube channel's been so good for learning about all of this stuff. How amps break up and all this. I just thought I just want it to sound a bit gritty. Like, why doesn't it sound gritty? Why is it clean? So I didn't understand about headroom or any of this sort of stuff. So yes, every day's a school day.
I used to be very anti-solid state. Like, I just never liked digital. I can't remember this guy's name. Me and Brandon actually saw. You remember that 15-year-old kid? He wore the Western like cowboy shirts, and he played a Squire guitar through a real small solid state amp, and it sounded phenomenal.
It was probably a Princeton or something.
I don't think it was.
It was.
No. I went and talked to him afterwards, and I mean, I think the way a person plays has a lot to do with it as well, obviously. But that kid just blew us out of the water, and I was like, maybe solid states aren't bad, And I've actually had several since then.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's what you can get. I mean, we're really fortunate now because you can get a bunch of incredible equipment at very reasonable prices now. Guitars, amps, pedals, all that stuff. There's never been a better time to be buying gear, really, because it's all great. I mean, I sometimes get do demos for like Far Eastern brands or whatever, and you get the stuff, you just think this is really good. If I was like a beginner, like for a kid or whatever, and so any of that stuff that I get through, they tend to get like donated to like kids or whatever, or schools or whatever it is, right? Because they're just amazing for starter guitars, right? I've been really impressed by all of that stuff. I mean, even like having the neck, you feel like there's the fretboard edges are slightly rolled, you know what I mean? There's no sharp edges to the frets or whatever. They stay in tune. The action isn't like miles off the fretboard, just basic stuff like that. And it's a couple £100, it's amazing. So yeah, it's great if you're starting out now, I think.
Pedals. What pedals were you using to get Stone's Tone like in the beginning?
Right at the beginning, I was using a Wampler Tumnus I used a bunch, but I think the OCD I used to use a fair bit because that used to give me a bunch of different flavors. And I think I had the SL drive as well, the exotic SL drive for a little bit. And I had a tiny like board. It was only about yay big. So it was all mini pedals. So I had a mini tuner. The Tumnus was small. The OCD was a bit bigger. The SL drive was tiny, and then I had a little boost pedal, and that was it. That's all I used for Stone's stuff back then. And I have to cover like Eddie's stuff as well because our singer, he can play. Santi, his name is. He's a brilliant guitarist, but he's also an incredible frontman, and he likes to just run around and dive into the crowd and stuff. So we were like, let's just go out, and so we kind of went after the early Pearl Jam stuff. Right. Where he just gets to interact with the crowd and doesn't have to worry about, guitar. So I used to cover Eddie's parts as well. So that was good because then it needs the flexibility to be Stone or Eddie, depending on, what they're doing. So yeah, that was kind of my 3 go-to pedals then.
That's very nice. So how often are you getting gear sent to you to review for the YouTube channel? Or is it that, like, I imagine whenever you're getting noticed by Dave Navarro, that probably helps a good little bit, picks up some things like getting the other videos some views. And it
doesn't hurt, does it? I mean, there's a bunch of little stories like that. I mean, that was a really, really cool one. But I mean, it's a separate thing, really. It does help, obviously. It helps, right? Because, you know, it's a story that you can tell a brand. Because I think the important thing for brands is that what are you doing for them, right? You know, that has to be your...
Well, just the act of you getting seen just because of something like that. Because just if Dave Navarro shares a video of you, and then people are like, oh, well, this guy, I want to see, oh, he does this. He's got an even flow video. What other videos has he got? So you're getting exposure from that. So I would assume that, you know, people who make pedals and things like that are like, let's send this guy some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it works kind of both ways. You get like nothing just like falls in your lap.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's always
little
graft.
bit of go-getter in there too. Little bit of go-getter.
Yeah. And often you'll go to the brand. I mean, if you've got an idea for a video, and then you can go to a brand and say, listen, I've got an idea for some content that I think would be great with my audience, and you know, I think this would be a good light to, you know, show your pedal off, because they're always demos. I don't really do reviews. I mean, reviews is like, my opinion of this is rubbish or it's brilliant, right? So I'm always doing demos because I just like to show. I'm quite a positive person. I like to show off the thing, right? And I know what's gone into someone putting their heart and soul into a little box, right, that turns up on your desk. And so, you know, I'd never want to sort of rip something apart, really, and do that sort of approach to things. But I've always said that, look, if I think it's of interest to my audience and I would personally use it myself, then that's my kind of rule, right? So you got to like it as well, right? But yeah, I mean, often I reached out to a load. I think I started reaching out to several brands, just going, you know, could I get a discount on a pedal, or could I get a free pedal, you know, in exchange for like a demo or whatever? And then, yeah, you build those relationships up, and then, you know, and then years later, other brands will go, we've seen what you did, because they are obviously, if they're following that brand and you're associated with it, then they see you through that, and that helps too. And then if you start working with a bunch, like, you know, maybe a guitar brand, an amp brand, some pedal brands, then there's 3 other sort of avenues that people could find you as well. And I did, you know, done a bunch of stuff for like Boss on their newsletter, right? One of my mates, Matt, who works for Boss, he asked me to do some content for that, which is awesome. And he's now moved here. You know, he like lives down the road, so we go out for beers and stuff. And there's a little community we have here, which is cool. But anyway, he asked me to do that, and then a person that I work with was like, Matt, is that you? Because he played bass, right? And he subscribed to this. He was like, you're in the like Boss newsletter this week. Did you know that? I was just like, yeah, they asked me to do some content. So you just find these random sort of things that happen. But yeah, so some then do reach out to you and say, we're interested in doing stuff. Like I think Guild reached out to me about the Kim Thale Polara, saying, you know, we want to do, we'd love you to do a demo of that. And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
So, which is amazing, right?
Has that happened? Has that happened yet?
Yeah. It's been out a while. Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, probably 18 months, 2 years ago, which is awesome. And then, you know, I'll keep the guitar and use it. You know what I mean? I use it in any sort of Soundgarden videos. And I love Guild, right? Because I used to have Guild guitars myself. I had acoustic I used to love. And so I was over the moon. But yeah, it nothing sort of just comes to you. It's from, you know, hours and hours and hours of grind and hustle, really, and spotting opportunities, you know, where you think they'll be useful for people, really.
That's right.
You know,
no such thing as luck, is there?
No, well, you can, you know, there's probably something as luck. You sort of have to help it along a bit as well, though, sometimes.
Preparation and opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's incredible. It is incredible because I love gear, and you know, when you get sent stuff by people, it's just awesome. You know, it really is awesome. But you then have you then got to come up with, a video idea, and then you start to you stress thinking, what if it's just awful? What if people don't like it? And then that's it. That'll be the end of it. So you have all those sort of worries. But I think
Do
if
they
you
ever
just
toss in side stream merch like ball caps and hoodies and stuff like that? That comes in with the amp or whatever. Nice.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, I mean, you get loads of T-shirts, which is great. I've bought a T-shirt for ages. But I was wearing my hat earlier. Cattle and Bread sent me a hat one year for I think they sent it out with a Christmas card, which is really nice of them. I love them. They're, a US-based pedal brand. And I wear that all the time, man. It's well warm and comfy. So yeah. Yeah, you do get the odd bit.
Can you remember your first live gig that you ever had?
First live gig that I played or that I saw?
Or how about the first time you ever played in front of people, like in a public setting? Maybe not a band, just like one of the first times that you ever.
Yeah, so it was a band at school. So we were probably 15, maybe something like that, 14 or 15. And we played in our school hall. So we played we played Metallica, a couple of Metallica tunes. So it was basically a lunchtime show, and
they gave you the whole time too. They didn't just give you one song. It wasn't.
Yeah, it was just us. So it was a very small area. I grew up in a small town in Wales, which is if you watch, the Wrexham football club thing, you'll have heard of Wales. Otherwise, you wouldn't. But yeah, so I grew up there. It's small town, and we had a little band, and we did like Metallica 1, and we did Master of Puppets, Ozzy Osbourne. We did a few Suicide Solution, and I Don't Know.
You all were pretty good for 14, 15.
Yeah.
I was about to say, not a cupcake set for the age group.
I mean, I don't know how good it was because we don't have any recorded. We did have videos of it, but they just got lost, over time. There is a video of us playing when we were like a year older or something like that, and that was another sort of lunchtime gig, and that was great.
I'm just saying, if somebody came into my school, some 15-year-olds, and started cranking out Metallica and stuff, the temptation would be not to pack them out on our shoulders.
Yeah.
It was great fun. It really was, because it gives you that sort of that sense of identity, I guess, when you're, a kid, and I used to play in in fact, I think that was my first band. But then I got into a band of, when I was must have been 15. They were like 18, 19. So they were all like drinking and smoking, and, they had their own flat, so my dad drive me down to go and practice with them. And they did original stuff, and they did some covers like Testament and things like that. And so I was like a bit of a novelty because I was really short. And they were all these big, men, really. You know what I mean? I was just like this boy still. But I was, I got really good friends with the guitar player. It's called Chris Goodman. And he was amazing. He was like doing sweep picking and, do you know what I mean? All this sort of like, incredible stuff. And so, yeah, it was really good fun to be in that. We did a few gigs. I can't remember how many we did, but it was wild. I mean, the first gig we played, this singer, it was like an animal. I mean, he was just so mild-mannered, really nice chap, well-spoken. As soon as the music came on, he got a pint glass, like a glass pint glass, and just smashed it onto his own head. So we're like showered with glass, and there was no stage. You were all on the same level as the crowd. It's like a parquet flooring, which is like a really hard wood flooring, right? Wow. And he ran and he jumped up in the air and just slammed his own body just onto this hard floor. And we were playing like a really slow intro, and I was just like, this is incredible. what the fuck's going on? So yeah, it was amazing. One of my mates who'd come to see me, because there's a lot of older kids there, or older young adults, I guess. And he came up to me and he was just like, "Your singer!" Like he bit me on the head. Like, do you mean he ran into the crowd, he just bit me on the head? So it was really punky and just quite wild, but brilliant fun.
As it should be. I kind of had a similar experience growing up. Like, I got hooked up with older guys. The guitar player was just amazing, so much better than me. And it was just, I honestly think that's, if I am good at all now, it's because of those formative years I was exposed to, you know, sketchy situations, but you're around some players, man. I guess that's,
it's a great life experience, isn't it? And I think getting to play with other people as well in that, when you're not necessarily playing covers, that was really, really interesting as well. That was quite eye-opening because, I'd just been playing in my room the whole time, practicing to records or whatever. So yeah, you got to get out there and play with people. It's a different thing, isn't it?
Yes, sir. We've got about 5 minutes left to our egg timer hour. I just want to take a quick second to, I know you didn't send me the pedal, but thank you for being a part of some good gear that got sent to me. Yeah, Andy was nice enough to send me a dirt pedal. And yeah, you guys make some great gear, and I hope to see more great gear. Have you all thought about doing anything like, I don't know if Andy brings it up or whatever, but have you all decided like maybe we should do a wah pedal or a delay pedal or anything?
No, not at the moment.
More like
we've got so many ideas, and Andy's just got so many for this year alone. And we were like, the dirt took it took a couple of years to come out, so we don't really release more than one pedal a year. But Andy this year was like, here's the 7 that I've got planned, pretty much done all the singers. And I was like, how are we going to do 7? So yeah, it's great. And he's on fire at the moment. He's got loads of ideas, and we've basically got 2 pedals completely done, and a 3rd or 4th on the sort of way. So we might well get 2 or 3 out this year.
Oh wow!
We'll see.
Yeah, that's kind of what he sounded like on the previous show. It was like, so you could probably get 2 out. 3 would probably be really ambitious, but there was a kind of a window to allow for that. It just seemed like 2 or 3 a year. Yeah,
definitely. And he goes to like guitar shows that we have here, like quite smallish guitar shows. Well, there's one in Birmingham coming up actually. That's the biggest one, and so his idea as well is he's going to take a pedal along for that particular show, right? And then as he goes to the next show, he'll do another one. So like limited releases, smaller limited releases, just because he wants to do, some cool stuff. And it's quite nice as well because, when you go from just having, these, what's the next one of these going to be? There's a load of pressure to that, and that's not always fun. So he wants to keep the fun in funny little boxes, obviously. So, that's a great way to do it, I reckon.
Is there anything you want to plug coming up for you? Anything? Is it coming out like tomorrow or anything? But anything?
I got more of the same this year. Just got loads of plans for lessons. I'm probably going to do some Patreon specific stuff for actual lessons like cage system and all that, but with a slant towards grungy 90s stuff, because that's not often the way it's done.
Are you going to have your Let's Play All guitar guide class that people can, are you going to start selling those?
I'd love to actually. Yeah, I'd love to at some point. It's just time, It's a lot of time to put something like that together. So, at the minute it's still like more of the same, loads more like lessons and demos, and as much other bits and pieces that I can.
Well, luckily there's
squeeze in
lots more of the same to do. So.
Yeah. Only the other day I found a bit in Go that I had been playing wrong, which is like amazing to still be finding new stuff 30 years, later. It's great.
I've started doing that. Like I'll try to do videos, and so that my time's right, I try to play it along. Like I'll have it in my ears on a headphone or something, and then I'll be playing along with it, and I'll be like, "No, you're not. You need to practice this. You're not doing it right. You can't tell someone how to play the thing if you're not playing the thing." Like,
oh, you can. Yeah, I do it all the time, mate. I've just been trying to learn battery. Right, I just started. I've almost worked it all out, and man, that is difficult. Hatfield's rhythm playing. I mean, you can't,
and he still does it. He's like
he's just incredible.
Now. Yes.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's just an absolute beast, and that's good fun. But like the Master of Puppets, I did Master of Puppets, and I was like, I can't down pick this. I'm going to alternate pick it. So just I'm just putting that out there. But you'll still get comments. Has to be downpicked. This has to be downpicked. But you can still teach the lesson. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Fine,
Yeah.
downpick it then. You know what I mean? Go with your bad
It's just
self.
some different strokes for different folks, man. You know, some people
Yeah.
do it all on upstrokes. Yeah, you do. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, I'm like 50. I haven't got time to be relearning all that. You know what I mean? So I just have fun.
And that's the most important thing. I'm watching the time. It's getting ready to go off. Oh my gosh.
No.
Once again, Matt Webster, YouTube channel is Let's Play All. Go check him out. He's got lots of cool things.
Definitely.
And, dude, that's it. Thank you
Nice.
for joining the Egg Timer Hour. Until next time.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having
Thanks,
me.
Matt.
Have a good one, Matt.
Talk about stuff, important stuff.